Hello friends, this is Worm, and it's Monday, which means it's time for another episode of Exotic Recrafting. This is a series where we talk about weak, underused, or straight up bad exotics in Destiny 2, talk about how we can make them better, and on the menu for today, whoa, I'm gonna stop you right there, buddy boy. I wanted to remind y'all, I will be live Tuesday and Thursday nights here on YouTube, starting at 9 p.m. Central, maybe a little bit earlier if I feel like it, but come over to YouTube and watch those live streams. We have a lot of fun talking about Destiny and all that stuff. So yeah, anyways, back to you, sir. I've got Hierarchy of Needs. This is a dungeon bow. It comes from Spire of the Watcher. And it's rough. So a little backstory here. I got this weapon long ago. This is my second clear of Spire of the Watcher, however many years ago that was. But I got the Catalyst soon thereafter, and I have never bothered to actually complete the Catalyst. Well, this weekend, I was on a Catalyst grinding fiasco. I grinded out 3 or 4 different Catalysts for weapons I needed, and this is one of the ones that was on my menu for Catalyst I wanted to complete. Unfortunately, I could not bring myself to finish it. I got to about 50%, and I just couldn't bring myself to finish it because this bow does not feel very good to use, and we're going to talk about why. But of course, let's first talk about the perks that it comes with. First perk here is Guidance Ring. Precision hits and final blows build Guidance Ring energy. Opposing guardians grant additional energy, and at full charge, hip firing creates a Guidance Ring. It also comes with perk Apollonic Tangents. Arrows fired through a Guidance Ring release seeking projectiles which do more damage based on distance traveled. It also has a catalyst. The catalyst is Panoptic Tessellation. Deploying a Guidance Ring or striking a target with a seeking projectile improves draw time and reload speed for a moderate duration. That's going to be pretty important to the feel of the bow, I'm not going to lie, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But of course, what are the main issues with Hierarchy of Need? I've got 3 of them that really drive me crazy. First one is, of course, the draw time, which we'll talk about that in just a second. The second one is the slowness of the weapon. It feels like a very slow weapon, slow to build up charge, slow, of course, to draw. And as well, it is a very long-range weapon. It's a weapon that you want to be using at long range. So let's talk about each of these, starting off with the draw time. Its base draw time is 756. The only thing longer than this is, of course, Leviathan's Breath, which is a heavy weapon, and Wishender, which is a kinetic bow that has, I believe, an 828 draw time, somewhere in that area, so it's longer than this one. The draw time on this really does hurt this bow a lot, because as you can see in the background when I'm using it here, it takes a long time to get the full draw. And of course, bows, they're really not all that great if you're not fully drawing the bow back. Now, when you're shooting through a Guidance Ring, not fully drawing the bow isn't as big of a deal because you're increasing your damage output anyways. But the draw time is miserably slow. And of course, the Catalyst, like we talked about, the Catalyst does help with this a little bit. Once you have a Guidance Ring going, you get a substantially faster draw time. So I know that's going to help out a lot. But at the same time, if you have max stacks of Guidance Ring and you die, or if you get the glitch that you'll actually see happen a couple times in here where you shoot a Guidance Ring and it doesn't actually make a Guidance Ring, it can be really frustrating because the draw time is so slow. And it's already slow at building up those stacks. Again, we'll talk about that in just one second. But it's such a sluggish weapon, very cumbersome to use. And I think that really the only way that we could fix that is just by increasing its draw time. Giving it a 684 draw time, maybe something on par with, our standard combat bows, our precision frame bows would help this weapon out a lot. Again, 756 draw time is, it feels like a decade in game. And yes, like this is one, this is not meant to be a bow that you're using in close quarters by any means. Obviously, its exotic perks up there, counter the use of it at close range, but at the same time, it still feels tremendously bad to use. So yeah, I think just the only thing we can do about draw time is just increase it to 684. I really don't think that would hurt the bow at all. I don't think it would make it too good. Again, when was the last time you ever saw somebody even using Hierarchy of Needs, much less in any sort of, in-game situation? It's just not that great. So I think increasing the draw time, and you can do this with the Catalyst. The Catalyst just increases its base draw time even further, as well as giving it the current benefits that the Catalyst does. Now, the next thing is the actual sluggishness of the weapon. Of course, its handling is only 38. It's a bow, though. It's not really supposed to be handling crazy fast. But the main thing I'm referring to is the building of Guidance Ring stacks. In order to get a Guidance Ring, you have to fill these 6 little, bars that you can see on the screen down there. right above the super bar. And once you get a 6, then you can hip fire and make a guidance ring. Now, in order to get stacks, you have to either get a kill or get a precision hit. And precision kills will actually count towards 2. So basically you need 3 precision kills, or you need to hit 6 precision shots, or you need to vice versa, or get 6 non-precision kills with a weapon. In my opinion, it just takes a long time to build this up. I would say the primary fix for this is just increasing the amount of stacks you actually get. Maybe every precision hit gives you 2 stacks, and every precision kill gives you 3. That way you'll need 2 precision kills to actually get max stacks. Then you could also, every time you land one of the seeking arrows, the seeking projectiles, it also gives you a stack of guidance ring, whether it gets a kill or not. Like, I think that could just increase the uptime of the shots, and especially in a scenario where you're moving around frequently. You know, most of our strikes and stuff have situations where you have to be moving frequently. This is not a weapon that wants you to move around. This is a weapon that wants you to plant in one spot and stay in that one spot. So it kind of feels boring to use. I hate saying boring to use because it can be fun, like especially if you've never used an exotic like this. Like, you plant yourself in one spot and you just go to town, but over time it's boring and it's not really that great. I can only think of a few scenarios where it's like, okay, yeah, this is definitely a solid option. They do exist, but again, we want to make this more viable throughout the rest of the game, not just in these very specific instances. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is also kind of in line with the sluggishness of the weapon. That is just the fact that it wants to be used from such a long distance. I believe 50 meters is the furthest you can be to get the max damage boost out of the guidance ring. Out of Apollonic Tangent, which 50 meters is a long way away. And yes, there are some areas where you can stand 50 meters away, but I think that most of our combat in Destiny 2 requires you to be a little bit up close and personal. So you have to be moving around the map again, and you have to be close and personal with enemies. You know, go stand in this ring, go unlock this door, go do this thing. There's nowhere where you can just sit back and relax and just deal some long distance damage. And in instances where that is the case, it's typically boss damage scenarios, and there are just better boss damage options. So I think that maybe changing this here so that it just gets the max damage at all times. So you don't have to have, you know, a certain distance or anything like that. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about here, and I know I said there's 3, but there's actually one more that I think would be a really beneficial change to this weapon, and that is the actual guidance ring itself. The guidance ring is really neat. You know, it's a big ring that you can just kind of aim where you want to shoot it, and it'll shoot out probably, I think it's like 4 meters in front of you or something, and then any arrow that passes through that will get those additional projectiles. One of the issues with this though is that ring is static. It doesn't move. Like, it stays exactly where it is. So if you walk to the side of it, you can't shoot through the ring because it's flat. You can walk to the opposite side of it and shoot through it, but you can't like maneuver around it. Like, where you have to sit and shoot through it is pretty much like you're really stationary. And I think that it would be beneficial to change guidance ring so that it would track the direction that your character's facing, so that if you have some enemies maybe off to the left and you pop a guidance ring and you're shooting them, all of a sudden they stop spawning, enemies start coming from the opposite side of the arena or whatever on the right side, then you could rotate around the ring and the ring would actually like turn with you. That way you could continuously shoot through it, and it still would be stationary. It's not like it would move around the map wherever you're going, but no matter where you looked at it, it would be a ring, right? Instead of just like turning to the side, so it's like a small oval, and then eventually you're directly beside it, so it's just like a line basically. Like, have it follow your player direction. That way you can just constantly take advantage of it and at least have a little bit of ability to move around the ring, not have to create an entirely new ring. But yeah, that's hierarchy of needs in a nutshell. I really would like to see these changes so that we could just make this bow a little bit better, a little bit more viable in content. Again, I don't want to make it meta, and yes, I do know that this weapon has one of, if not the highest damages of all exotic bows in the game, but the hoops that you got to jump through are really not reasonable for any day-to-day game. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on hierarchy of needs. Let me know your thoughts on my suggestions here. Do you like them? Do you not like them? Tell me what you would suggest. And yeah, that's it. Do me a favor, watch the videos you see on the end screen because YouTube thinks you like them. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you on the next one, guys. Bye for now.